really fascinating, your chapter about student loans. You say that this is a ploy to keep young people from building wealth from the get-go and be stuck with a lifetime of debt. Can you speak to this and explain how this is a common lie that we all accept that all education is good and worth it, and the more the better, and how this keeps young people from building wealth in a way that no previous generation has had?
Yeah, so the way that we look at education is very strange. So, in many respects, education is priceless, and you should be a lifelong learner and you should strive to continue to educate yourself. And it does, when you make the investment in yourself, have a payoff depending on what you pay for it. In the United States, in particular, what college has become is not necessarily about education, it's become about accreditation. And the reason people are going is not to be well rounded in the classics and to be a person of the world. They are going because they think it's going to translate into more money and a more successful career for them. So that is an investment. And if you're going to make an investment, people should know that investments are not valuable at any price. If you overpay for the investment, you're never going to get a return on it. You may get a negative return. You could end up going bankrupt and the like. And so the same thing goes, with the education system. And what we've had happen in the United States is absolutely disgusting. We have had the US government nationalize a large part of the student lending business, and they have become the largest predatory lender in the country. They are transferring wealth from teenagers, in many cases, and very young people to colleges and their administrators. And they're doing this because there is no underwriting process, there is no differentiation based on what kind of education you're getting. And on the back end, because there's no underwriting, there is no bankruptcy process. So basically, young people who don't have the tools, which again is shameful since that we have government run education, but they don't have the tools today to evaluate a return on investment in terms of what they're making with the education, are saddled with 5, in some cases 6-figure loans that are never going to pay off for many of them for the kinds of degrees they're getting. There are certainly exceptions to the rule. Maybe if you go into high finance or engineering or whatnot, certain high earning careers, and also depending on where you go. If you're going to an Ivy League school versus a state school, or if you're going to maybe a smaller school where you're not taking on as much money, there are some variations. But what we've seen overall is that college has grown. I think it's 5 times the GDP and 8 times wages in terms of their cost to their outcome. So it's not like we can make the argument that, the increased cost of college, well, that's returning more money in terms of the GDP, or it's boosting wages. It's not. It's far outpacing that, far outpacing inflation. It's just been a wholesale wealth transfer. And the idea that you go to some mediocre school and for 4 years it costs $320,000 and you're going to get a $60,000 job at the end of that math doesn't make sense in any universe. So we
Yeah.
have a huge problem that needs to be undone and readdressed, because when you then have that coming out into the workforce, your balance sheet is wrecked. How are you going to be able to buy a house and start a life and do those things to make sure that you do have that ownership? And that was, by the way, the whole purpose of you going to college to begin with.